let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm on camera where I want to be. So I am dealing with this. Dealing with this. This is not what I want to be dealing with, but here we are. Yeah, I frogged 20 hours worth of work this morning. And part of why was because of this. So, oh my gosh. So, I really wanted to cast on and get some work done, but apparently that's not in the cards for the evening. So, the bare minimum that I'm trying to do is get this wound. That's where we are. I've watched a whole bunch of Criminal Minds. It's like, oh, I'll just watch one episode, I'll eat dinner, and then I'll be able to, I'll just wind this yarn up and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. What the hell? No. So. Yeah, 20 hours, 26 minutes, and 16 seconds. That's how much work I scrapped this morning. Yeah. Definitely would rather be knitting right now than doing this. Sometimes this happens, though. There's not really much to be done about it. Figure also if I'm on camera doing this, I'm less likely to start yelling and start cutting, because seriously, yarn barf. That is what's going on here. So, gosh. And the funny thing is at knit night, I'm the person that people go to do this, because I have the patience for it. And the thing with it is when you've been fussing with it and you're having so much trouble, of course you don't want to do it, which I understand. It's really hard to keep your cool with something that's giving you an issue. So I get it. But really, I mean, this is just about taking the time and following the breadcrumbs. So usually what I do, among the obvious of having light, and I guess this is really the trick to undoing tangles, is you can't pull too tight. You pull too tight, you will make it so much worse. And see, now it gets to a point where I can pull it more. You just gotta understand how these things work. So this is something that was on the ball winder, and then I got to this part, and it just got out of hand, if you will. So here we are, just pecking away at it. And the trick really is, it's just to take your time. Take your time. Don't rush. Don't pull too hard. And this is usually how I avoid getting out the scissors, Because the thing with the scissors is it means there's going to be so much more. There's going to be so much more to deal with. Because they're going to have a bunch of ends. And in this case, given how large the is, it's not going to be a few. Now I will say another complication of this in particular is that this is an animal fiber. And so the hair is literally kind of pilling up on itself. And because of that, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to untangle. It's essentially knitting itself together. So when I come to pieces like this, where it's in there, I usually try to go one strand at a time and pull it over what I'm working with. That way it can help to kind of loosen it. Seeing as this is this was not how I wanted to start my day either. And this is exactly how I started. This isn't even how I started my day, although I did deal with a number of tangles this morning. Because it's color work, there's a lot of, the yarn was worked together, which also meant that when I frogged it, it started doing this too. Okay, so I'm seeing here again is this right here is too tangled and too knotted to pull. So sometimes I then get just really close to the knot of the tangle. Try to take it out from there. So much for making my deadline. Really, though, I was really dissatisfied with how this was turning out. I felt that I could do better work than what was going on. And even though this is technically a gift for somebody, I still try to treat everything I put out, whether it's a care package and it's like a gift for somebody, or whether it's like a legit order, I still try to treat things the same way. So this is killing me. It's utterly killing me. It's murder in my brain. Oh. Sometimes a God damn it. Sometimes a crochet hook or even a tapestry needle is helpful in these circumstances. Not necessarily all the time, but just to kind of pick at things that are maybe difficult to get to, or maybe are a little too tight. And it's especially the case like when you have something that is tangled like this, and when you don't have nails necessarily to pull at things. I've got Mr. Cellophane playing it tonight. Oh, this is killing me. And so I don't even know what happened, like how this got this bad. Because it appears it got this bad in the winding of the yarn, like initially, which, if this yarn is discontinued, one of them is, and I don't know whether it's this one or this one. One of them is discontinued, and if this is like a thing that happened with other skeins, oh, I can see why. This is kind of nightmarish to deal with. So I got into round, I think, 58 before I was like, all right, we just can't do this anymore. And part of why I made the decision is I tried to fix some of the jogging between needles, and it had gotten bad enough in some places that there was no way I was going to be able to do that. Also, I feel like I dropped a couple of stitches like here and there and didn't know how at the time to address it. And so what ended up happening is I would just grab a bar between the stitches that were on the that were still on the needles. And essentially that's similar to like a make one. And make ones, as it increases, have a tendency to make holes. So I was like, well, that's not going to work out. And reflecting on it, I realized that, but I was not thinking about that at the time. Which would explain why some of the gaps basically looked so big. It was a make one plus basically a yarn over, and it was messy. Oh, that would be my latest distaff. So I think for the evening, what I'm going to try to do, honestly, is just unravel this. I think trying to do much more is not, it's not. Like, I might be able to cast on. Now, because I've taken pictures of everything up to this point, I'm not going to bother re-documenting, like, what I did. Other than that, I say that I might change my mind. I don't know. I don't know. I might need to, because I started off with a circular the last go round and ended up putting it on double pointed. Well, at this rate, I would do the cast on and then the setup row, or the first row rather. All right, now we've reached another chunk. This is the worst. The absolute worst. This is killing me. Like dying a slow death right now. Aren't we all, though? There's a saying in Latin, all hours wound to the last kills. I'm feeling that right now. I'm feeling that so much. So, so the other funny thing is, I was like, I don't know how, it felt like I was halfway through the cow portion, and it didn't look like I'd used like any yarn. I was looking at it like, I don't know about this. I'm like, I think I'm gonna have more left than anticipated. But I don't know. I don't know. So there's a point when you are untangling stuff where things start to become easier. And that's usually about the time you've just gotten through like a particularly bad spot. And if you take care with what you're doing, you can do that relatively quickly. And then that be the last one. Now, that said, it is super difficult to be patient with something that's basically not doing what it's supposed to do. So, like, yeah. I say, if you really have to, like, don't be afraid of scissors. Yes, you will have knots in your work. But, if it comes down to it and you just cannot salvage it, I mean, that's what you got to do. Now, I'm sure that I can salvage this, so I'm not worried about scissors. And I don't feel like there's a whole lot of knots. Like, most of this is yarn bark, to be honest with you. The yarn got pulled, the center of the cake got pulled out entirely in such a way that it just kind of looked like it threw up. It's just not the best. Alright, so now we're getting to another piece where I'm not really sure what is going on here. So sometimes you have to go into the part where it's tangled, and just kind of tug at it gently. think I remember the episode I was watching of Criminal Minds. I think it's based on, was it like the chicken coop murders? I think that's what it was. There's a whole Criminal Minds wiki. And I think it goes into, there's my fucking foot falling asleep. It goes into what the stories are based off of, like similarities that they might have taken from that have actually happened. And sometimes the similarity is literally just like an element of it. So I've also got what's on the ball winder that I'm taking apart. And I know that this isn't this one right here. It's not this one. Because that goes to the end of the ball. At the other end. So sometimes I just start switching around. I don't even think this is the cashmere one. I think this is the cashmere one. And that cake is big enough that I don't want to take it off the... I don't want to take it off the thing to try and unravel the stuff with it. So sometimes I'll find a loop. When I find a loop, try to do this with it. Just slowly back it out. So here's also a part where it looks like it may be pilling. Got more loops. Mother, I need more loops. And this right here is in the middle. Somewhere. And usually what ends up happening is after you've tugged on different bits for a while, like you'll end up loosening them. And that's kind of what we're aiming to do, is not have everything so tight. It also will stop you from breaking the yarn, which, you know, is tantamount to cutting it. And obviously we want to avoid as much of that as possible. Like, that's the whole shtick. This is definitely an exercise in patience. Now, the funny thing is, I have like serious anger management issues, but this I can deal with. People, not so much. This, yeah. Generally speaking, I know if I slow down and I take my time enough, and provided I haven't done irreparable harm, pulling it too tight, I can probably salvage something like this. People, not so much. Like in this, the yarn's not really going to fight back. It's just going to do what it does. Which may seem like fighting back sometimes, but that's not really what's going on. Because the golden rule for untangling a skein is be gentle. So, let's do this. Alright. So, we're detangling. This is an absolute mess. So, pardon that weird noise in the background, that's my heater. Because it's cold. So I've reached another point where there's another, like, chunk to get through. So we've got a little play here, which is good. That means I've probably untangled a significant something. Also gotten to a point where I've got a bunch of strands trying to lock together, essentially. Yeah, I think once I get this done, I am not going to cast on tonight. I am kind of too mad at this to want to look at it any longer than absolutely necessary. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I can't cast on until I do that. Like I'm trying to wind this, and I'm thinking about winding this. But the thing with this is that didn't go yarn guts everywhere, whereas this one did. And so it's reasonable to redo this one. But that one didn't really need it, so I might just leave that as it is. I don't know, though. It is much more pleasant to work from like a neater skein than a messy one. That's for sure. As you can see, it's slowly like making progress. I'm not I'm not tangling it further doing this. Basically moving through the tangle. Out to the other side. Kind of treating it like a maze, I guess. I think the first Criminal Minds episode I came back to from wherever I was when in my Netflix queue. The one where their L is trapped on a train with someone who's having basically a psychotic break. So Reed has to come in and do a little sleight of hand. And it's super stressful. Like, here's another part where it looks like it did a little locking up on itself again. There's no key to this lock. Oh, that's a bad joke. It's Funny though. Okay, so all right, we're gonna reach another point. Delicate. Carefully, carefully with the plates. That's what's going on right now. All right, so that is another area where it locked in on itself. And like some of this is what this is. That's like what that's what the tangle is. It's not really a tangle. It's things have locked in and pilled up and fused together, if you will. Trying to see what's going on here. So I did make it to the gym this evening. God, I did not want to go. Oh, let me tell you, I did not want to go. Arguably, I don't ever want to go. Which means that's not a good enough reason for me not to go. If I would always choose to do something else, I need a better reason than that. It's not justifiable. So, looks like we've reached another point where it is starting to lock together. So like some of the strand is strand and some of it is just fuzz and fluffing. This is probably why this has been so difficult for me to get done. Like get this undone. Is because of this. I think we got one. And the trick is to actually pull it like through pieces instead of just pulling it, right? Because the point is to untangle this nonsense. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it and say that this is definitely one of the places where it's locked up. And that's why it's being so incredibly difficult. Now, like I said, sometimes I take a break and I will work on loops. This is a loop. I'm trying to get it out of wherever the tangle is. And that's usually a good sign, because if it's looped, that means it didn't break. What's not great is that sometimes the loops tangle within each other, and then getting them like out is almost impossible. Like, you just have to get to that point in the skein for that to be viable. Just not news I want to hear. Gosh, this is killing me. So you can see that this is really matted right here. Which tells me this is legit one of the problem areas. So you see how I told you sometimes it gets tangled on another? So this right here is two things tangled. It's basically like two strands that were like next to each other in the skein. But that's just gonna happen. Other damn foot's falling asleep now. I understand this is probably boring as hell. That's okay. That's okay. I make lamb. So I was talking to a guy of Greek descent, I don't know, the end of last year or so. And honestly, it might have been sooner than that. And so I watched my big fat Greek wedding as a result. He was actually Greek and I think Colombian. Made a little progress. He spontaneously stopped talking to me. It makes me wonder if I was being trolled. That's what he was trying to do. I don't know. I don't know that it matters. But like, if I'm talking to you, right, and you stop talking to me, I don't chase people. Like, I don't do the whole cat and mouse thing. If you want to talk to me, when I reach out, you'll reach back. If you don't reach out, or you stop reaching out, probably because I don't know you really well, I'll just stop. I just will not continue. And look, I understand. I'm mentally ill. I understand that sometimes it is hard to reach back. But by the same token, if somebody says hi to me, like every time they pass me, right? Every time they pass me. And every time I just don't say anything. Is it a wonder if the person stops saying hi? No, not really. Not really. So it's totally understandable. And look, I don't blame anybody for, you know, what you got bandwidth to do and what you don't. But by the same token, same. Okay, so we've got this gut, and then this end, and the end over there that you can't see. So now we're gonna fiddle with this because, and what I've done is I've found two ends again and I'm working them through. Some of the, oh, the tangled weave, we weave. When we first practice to deceive. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. I think it's Shakespeare. I don't know. Okay, so all right, this is a particularly bad tangle. And this is the part that goes over there. Go figure. So okay. It's like a maze, right? It's like a maze. It's like a maze. And usually I jump around when I'm doing these. There'll be parts where certain things are easier. Yeah. So this is definitely one of those areas where I've reached a really bad snarl. It's like makes me question all my life choices right now. Okay. Okay, so and this right about here like makes me think it would be helpful if you got out a hook. So we're gonna get one of the steel hooks out because this is the smallest ones I've got. I do need to be careful with the steel hooks though. So we've got we're gonna use a 2mm one. See how that works. I don't usually do this. I don't usually not fingering yarn up though. What was I thinking? Honestly, I don't feel like this is me. I feel like this is the yarn making these bad choices. Okay, so okay, so a bunch of loops here. I'll take them there. And while I've got this hook right here, seriously, I'm still using my fingertips. There's something about the tactile sensation that makes it easier for me to do things. Okay, so this is particularly bad right here. I've got that episode, which I don't know if it's the one I'm thinking of, but there's like a old Southern lady, right? I mean, she's not old. She's probably in her late 40s, 50s at most. Anyway, and I think somebody is missing, and her son basically is implicated. Well, they come to find out that her son was like mentally disturbed, and while before he went off to college, she like hid that fact because it wasn't, it was a matter of pride versus, him getting the help he needed. So I guess he went off his meds when he was in school and got mixed up in some other stuff, and he ends up flunking out and ends up coming back home, but is not right in the head. I don't think that's what happened. Now I'm questioning like everything. I'm like, is that what happened? Is that the episode you're watching? I'm like, you know what? I don't actually know if I'm not smashing more than one episode together in my head. I've been known to do that. Like completely fabricate things, like portmanteau entire ideas. Just silly. I don't know how much more I can take of this. I gotta be honest with you. I am having trouble. So, let's see how this end is doing. See if we have loosened anything up in fussing with this other end. Which, I don't know. We're about to find out, huh? Okay. So, maybe a little bit. Not really sure. Catherine Mannheim is one episode. I can't think of who like the main male character for like the antagonist for that episode is, but I've seen him, I feel like, in some other stuff, but I might just be thinking of him in that episode because he plays a twin. He's not a twin, but he plays like being a twin. Alright, so now we have reached a point where we are okay. So and sometimes what I do is I'll pull. I'll try to see where it's coming out of. And then take it from there. Okay, so I see where I need to pull it through, but I can't because it's too small. Oh, I think I got it. Like this works at this point because this is such a small ball. It gets much bigger and I'm not going to be able to do this. But hopefully by the time it does get bigger, I'll have gotten more of this done. So I learned a new word the other day, and it's MOLL. So it was referring to somebody looking like a gangster's moll. And apparently moll is like slang for Mary. So it's referring to like dame, woman, old lady, you know, like kind of like that. I think it was considered derogatory, but I don't know. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, alright. It's always good when I can, like, pick some chunks out. That's great. This is what that tells me is untangled, like, a good amount. think we're going to give the call this quits here soon. My patience for this is waning sharply. So you can see how all of this is like tangled up in itself. Just the freaking worst. Oh god, this is just really bad. But this way keeps me from pulling on anything too tightly. I think I said this earlier. It's like I don't understand why I didn't have them wind it for me while I was in the store. It's fairly standard. Now I have a Swift, so I didn't need them to wind it for me, but that potentially would have solved some of this. The only thing I don't like other people winding my skeins for me is that I put a little bit of tension on them, and a lot of people don't. And sometimes that messiness actually will make this whole tangle worse because it'll fall apart a little more easily. Alright, so now we've got another one where there's a bunch of fuzz. The bunch of fuzz means it's locking together. That's what that means in this case. Which also technically means it's not a true knot. It's not like an actual knot. Okay. Let's see. Oh, goodness. All right. So let's see if this has gotten any better over here now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we've gotten another part where it's really twisted in on itself. I'm going to take a break from this. And sometimes I'll just do this. I will just pull lightly at stuff with the hopes that I'm, loosening some things. And by loosening them, they'll be easier to manage. I was like, what the hell is that sound? And by sound, I mean it's not a sound, it's a picture change. I think we might finally be at our wit's end with this for tonight. And my brain is starting to actually get really tired. Which means doing this and like concentrating is going to become more difficult, to the tune of I won't be able to do it. We're a little bit over an hour, so it might be time to just stop for the night. It's reasonable though, there's only so much frustration I can take in a day. So, I'm going to party on Wayne, party on Garth, call this quits for the evening. Thanks for hanging out. Anybody who watches this later, I hope you enjoyed listening to me chatter about yarn and tips on how to untangle it when it's bad like this. This has to be, though, I think the worst tangle that I've dealt with. Probably because it involves so much yarn birth. I know I said it was going to go. And then I picked it back up. I know what I said. So, yeah. Might mean it this time though. But yeah. So long, farewell, if you're just saying and goodbye. And hopefully, by the time I see you tomorrow, I'll have that under control. We'll see.